Well, hello, internet friends near and far. Welcome to another episode of Parks and Conversation. And this is a podcast where we watch an episode of Parks and Recreation, and then we talk about it. And by we, I mean myself, Jason, and I'm joined all the way across town by the power of the internet by my friend Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy.
How are you doing, sir?
I am well. It is a beautiful, crisp day at in the north of Seattle area,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it. And it is also a full day of school. So
We're
another
doing
win.
it. We're winning.
My daughter was convinced that she had a half day. And I, multiple times throughout this week, I told her, somebody lied to you. Because I'm looking at your school calendar right now. And I'm rejoicing every time. Because you're in school all day.
That's why you can't give them half days. They'll get used to it.
Exactly. You give a mouse a cookie. Pretty soon, they're going to be demanding lobster.
Mm-hmm.
Is how the book ends. So if you give a kid a half day, pretty soon they're going to be truant and never go to school again. So
that's why you got to hide their cheese.
Exactly. Speaking of cheese, today we're going to be talking about season 5, episode 5, Halloween Surprise. And this is a episode where, because of Jerry's probably love of cheese, his heart's not doing too good.
Okay, I was wondering where you're going with that. I was like, okay, let's see. I was right with you, listener. I was like, where's this going?
So this is just a PSA out there, friends. Keep in mind, cheese is delicious, but it also might give you a fart attack. Dun, 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 dun. That's it. Any questions?
What's your favorite cheese?
Thank you. Thank you. That is a good question.
Yeah.
I really, really like pepper jack cheese.
Man, that's what I was thinking in my head.
That I like pepper jack, or that's your favorite cheese?
That's my favorite cheese too. Because it's like regular cheese. It's like a good, like, just not fancy, pretentious cheese, the cheese bit, but then it has flavor, like the spicy.
A little spicy, yeah.
I don't know why I said that like Italian. That's
like a spicy,
like a spicy cheese. Yeah. So
yeah. Pepper jack is great. There's a butcher near our where we live called Double D Meats, and they have smoked cheeses, and they have a smoked pepper jack cheese stick, which is delicious.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, listener, if you like cheese, good for you. Let us know. What's your favorite cheese? I also like the Beecher's cheese curds that they sell at Costco.
Squeaky cheese.
Oh, I love squeaky cheese. Put it in the microwave for like 13 seconds. Like, put them on a plate. Put that plate with cheese on it in the microwave for 13 seconds. And, oh man, so good.
Results may vary based on the wattage of your personal microwave. Experiment.
Yeah. Play around. Kind of like when you make a pizza and you follow all the instructions and then you're like, this isn't cooked all the way. Well, because your oven may be a little different than the DiGiorno test oven. Also, be sure to take that cardboard out from underneath the pizza. That is not to be cooked upon.
I just put the whole thing in, like the box.
The box, yeah.
Yeah, just put the whole box in. Because the plastic's like an extra topping.
It really seals in the flavor.
It does, yeah.
It's kind of like searing a roast before you put it in the crock pot. It just seals all that flavor in there. It's so good.
Yeah, it's sous vide pizza.
Sous vide pizza.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so gross. That is really, really gross. Jeremy, what do you think? What do you think? We should talk about this episode?
Let's do it.
All right. What were your first impressions as you watched this? What's your first take?
Once again, I forgot how many of the different little storylines were so funny in this, and I liked a lot of them. There's one that isn't, like, Leslie and Ben's isn't super funny, but it's super sweet. And then Ron and Andy, just the cold open's fantastic. And then Jerry's little side bit, and then even Halloween, like the movie. There's a lot of little things, and so I really enjoyed this episode. There's a lot going on. All the characters got a little bit of time. Tom's, like, there's a little part that's going to launch Tom, his storyline moving forward from here, and I really enjoyed this episode. How about you?
as I was watching it, I was like, man, everybody's got something to do in this guy.
Yeah.
Like everything is going, and there's so many different stories happening. And I forgot all that was involved in this episode.
This felt like one of the early episodes of Game of Thrones, right? Like there was just a lot going on until we split off and everybody got their own episodes.
Yeah,
And
and there are life and death consequences.
right. But I like this. I like where I want more episodes like this, I guess, which they're probably harder to write, but they're fun.
Yeah, there's little people, children mainly.
Children. Yeah.
No dragons though,
Not yet.
unless you count Jerry's roars.
Did you eat farts for lunch?
All right. So yeah, this one's really funny. So I try, listener, to kind of organize these episodes, and you're like, really? You do? I'm like, yeah, everything so far has been scripted. You don't know this. We don't send you the scripts, but I try to organize these. But these, Jeremy and I were talking before we started recording, and all these different storylines, they overlap so much that's hard to really break them up into A plot, B plot, C plot. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to kind of go right on through the whole episode, take a little break in the middle, and then wrap it up. So it'll be a super fun journey through season 5, episode 5, Halloween surprise. The real question is, what is the surprise?
We'll find out.
I actually did have a question, like what is the surprise? So, because anyway, we'll see.
No spoilers.
The real surprise is the friends we made along the way.
What are they doing here?
The friends?
Yeah. Where'd they come from?
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, hey, you guys are here. And they're like, yeah, we brought a soup. So it starts with the cold open, with Ron in his office and Diane stopping by, and she asks, "Am I interrupting something important?" And I love Ron's response. It's so right on brand. Impossible. I work for the government. So she comes by with her daughters, and they are crazy loud, and you can see Ron having a hard time with all of the craziness of her children. But Ron's like, I like her. She's sharp, she's confident, and her children are loud. And then Ron's child shows up, and that is Andy. And he comes in to play with the kids, and he's just yelling and screaming, running into stuff. And Diane is like, "Hey, I would love to go trick or treating tonight. Would you come?" And Ron's like, "Oh, I don't think I think I'm old for that." But Andy's like, "Yes, can we go, please?" So, and then
Andy actually says kung fu, which I think is important because later on he is Johnny Karate, which I know karate is different than kung fu, but still,
yes. Andy lives in a world where all those things are the same.
Sure,
just
foreshadowing.
An FBI agent and a Secret Service agent, also the same,
right?
So, also observing everything is important. So he also points out you got to go by 7 or else all the good candy's going to be gone. And Diane's like, "Yep, all right." The girls are, "Yes, all right." And Andy's like, "Yes, all right." And Ron is just like, "What happened? How did I get roped into all this?"
They all just leave at the same time. He's just left alone. This whirlwind has just completely changed his plans for the week.
Yeah. And as a father, there are times where I feel all of Ron's emotions in that moment, where it's like, I feel like I'm doing something that I did not want to do.
I did not agree. I did not agree to this.
How did I get to here? So I get it, Ron. I get it. So then the credits happen, and then it comes back, and Leslie is touring a house. And it, like, as I was watching this house, I said several times, "Man, that's a good looking house."
Yeah,
that one room in that house.
It's a nice, good looking, open concept, area with a lot of wood and rocks.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. So I like the exposed beams. Makes it feel like a lodge. I love it.
Yeah.
So maybe
good
someday.
Architecture, good bones in that place.
Yeah. But what it's missing is a trampoline room.
Mm.
And Leslie asks specifically about it.
Like most houses in America.
And her
Or-
agent is like, yeah, no, there's no trampoline room like most other houses in the world. So, yeah. So then we get the explanation. Leslie says Ben's coming back from DC and we're going to move in together because he is currently living at Andy and April's house that they're renting from somebody.
Burley, I
And
thought.
yeah, probably Burley, or I don't know. I think it was Burley was on the lease in the first place. And then, yeah, so they're looking for a new place, and they can't move into her house because, as has been stated, it is a scary nightmare hoarder's nest. That were Ben's words and Anne's words, and on the official report filed by the health department. So we've only ever seen Leslie's house the one time,
Twice.
twice. What was the other one?
Oh, yes, once. Sorry, yeah. They cleaned it, and then it was the dinner party. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was the same episode. And so
that was a nice house. That's a Craftsman. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I love Craftsman tools. They have a lifetime guarantee.
Make good houses too. You know, Sears used to sell houses.
I know. Yeah, you could get a build your own house.
Yeah.
Now you have to just build your own. So, so Leslie decides that she's going to lease the house, and she tells her agent that she wants to, and Martha's just like, great. And so she's kind of disappointed because everything has to be a production with Leslie.
Mm-hmm.
So she's kind of bummed. So Anne jumps in and they make a little dance party while Martha is filling out the paperwork for the lease of the house. Now, does this mean she's renting this house, or they're not gonna buy it?
Yeah, I think it's renting.
Okay.
Lease to own.
I was very confused by this. I've never rented a house, so for longer than a week for vacation. So I don't know all the ins and outs. But yeah, it seemed weird to me that these two professionals are leasing a house. Like, buy it. It's plenty.
They don't want to be tied down.
I guess. So, so Leslie's getting this house and life is coming together for her. And then we go to the parks department and Chris shows up, and he introduces himself to everybody because he has won a most improved patient from Dr. Richard Nygaard, which is a piece of paper that the doctor only made because Chris specifically asked for it while crying loudly.
It's the difference is time. So like a lease is 12 months and rental is usually by the month.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure that people knew that we knew how to use the internet.
Okay. Well, I wasn't like going to lose sleep over it or anything, but now I might. People think I don't know how to use the internet. I'll be like, I can't believe I know how to use the internet. I know how to use the internet. I've been using the internet for forever, as long as it's been around.
But yeah.
So Chris comes to tell everybody that he is instituting a movie night, a Halloween movie night, and they're going to play the Murder at Blood Lake, Death Canoe 4, Murder at Blood Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And Donna is pretty stoked about it because that's her favorite one. And she's also going to live tweet it, which is also good.
Fun fact, the clips that they showed is from an actual movie, 1986's Blood Hook.
Blood Hook.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
And the guy who directed it directed it, went on to go produce Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh.
Yeah.
Joel?
No, it was one of the producers. No,
okay.
I don't. Yeah. So nice. Yeah. Fun little.
That is a fun fact.
Little tie in there.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Check out Blood Hook. It looks terrible.
It does.
It's about a guy who there's like a fishing competition in Wisconsin, and a guy goes around and like catches people with his hook, with like in a reel.
Yeah. What do you think it means?
I thought it was I honestly thought it was like an allegory, like it was a Christian movie, like Fishers of Men, like literally, like what would happen if they really fish for people? That would be a horror movie, and that's what that movie was. I guess
So-
I don't. I was way off. I don't know.
So Jesus' invitation to Peter and the gang is like, come with me.
Yeah, it was much more ominous.
Follow me.
Follow.
Wow. That's something.
The
Yeah,
catch of the day is you.
Oh, that would also work as a super cheesy, like Morton's Fisherman, like Valentine's Day card.
It's quite the Venn diagram of people who love Morton's Fish and Valentine's Day.
Oh man.
Will you be my will you be my catch of the day? I'm hooked on you.
Yes. Yes. Net. Something net.
You're thinking, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Pudding.
There's got to be. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. Like,
no, that's the thing that's going to keep you. That's the thing that's going to keep you from sleeping.
Yeah, it's not that people think I don't know how to use the internet. It's going to be, yeah, Aquanet. That's not it. That's nothing. All right, so Chris is doing this whole thing because Dr. Nygaard feels that he should face his fears instead of running from them. And he goes into this inner monologue as he's talking about Dr. Nygaard. He's very wise. I see him 5 times a week. And then he lifts up his hands slowly. He holds my life in his hands like a fragile little bird. See you tonight. And he runs off. So Rob Lowe is just killing it with the introspection and the emotional journey that Chris Traeger is going on. So I don't know why he didn't win any Emmys for this. I mean, this was really something. So, yeah, so he's gonna dress up as his fear later, which is gonna be great. And then after it cuts to Ben in DC with all the interns and April, and he announces that the congressman has an 18-point lead. Callaway, the opponent, has run out of money, stopped campaigning. So it's basically over. And he says, good job, everybody. And April then says, especially me. And so, yeah. And so then Ben also tells her, well, hey, we're pretty much done. So you can go if you want to head back early. And she like drops her champagne and grabs her purse and just runs out the door. And Jen Barkley is like, that's an exit. Who was that? I'm just kidding. And so
that's all we kind of get from April in this episode.
No, there's more later at the rummage sale.
That's right.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I forgot about that.
April shall return. And so Jen talks to Ben to say, hey, what's next for you? And he's like, I was going to get a chicken parm and watch Blade Runner.
Had a kid.
And then
I wonder which cut he would watch.
I think you would go with the original.
The original? Or the director's, like the ultimate Ridley Scott.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Either way, he's probably going to be bored.
Nope. You're wrong. You're always wrong about that. Listener, Jason doesn't like Blade Runner.
I've tried so many times with Blade Runner, and I actually watched Blade Runner 2049. I have 2 different versions of Blade Runner in my iTunes. I've tried. Okay. I've done the work, and I just don't care about that movie. But Blade Runner 2049 is really good.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's really good.
It's fantastic. You should watch the original Blade Runner. It's really good too.
Let me think about it. My daughter doesn't have a half day today, so I have hours of free time of not picking her up. And so Jen is unimpressed with his plans to get a chicken parm and watch Blade Runner. And then he realizes, like, she was thinking like job wise. I love Jen. She's so great. Yes, Ben, I'm talking about like job wise. So then it cuts back to Pawnee, Andy, and Diane and Ron and the girls are trick-or-treating. And Andy points out that they're all princesses. And even Diane, who, funny enough, used to play a character called Xena, warrior princess. And so she's like, yeah, everything for the last 4 years, book, movie, backpack, all princesses, all the time. And Andy's like, oh, that sounds fun. And she just says, it's a nightmare. Um, and then Andy, we see he's dressed up as a police officer, and Ron is dressed up as his pirate costume that he wears every year, which is wonderful detail every time. It's a terrible costume. It's like he barely tried, but it's a pirate and he loves it. And so Andy does a pause to do a quick report because he's working on his observation skills. And so here's the things that he observes: tree, leaves, night, sky, hand, Andy's hand. It's like, what else you got? So,
What else does who have?
yeah, who's he talking to? And there's more things to observe than that.
Sure.
So, but then Diane gets a vice principal emergency because some idiots were caught pooping on the soccer field. So she's got to go. And Ron is like relieved. He's like, I guess trick or treating's over. And the girls are sad. And Andy's like, no, we can just walk them around. No problem. And again, Ron is kind of swept up into this thing that he did not want to do. And so Diane takes off and Ron is just going to keep going to the next house. But the first challenge in Ron's trick-or-treating adventure, Ivy says, I need to go to the bathroom. And Ron's response is, I have no idea what to do about that. Which, having done trick-or-treating with children who need to go to the bathroom, it's like, none of these are our houses. Like, what are we going to do? Trick-or-treat. Can we, real quick, my son's got to drop a deuce. Can we just, I mean, it's only going to take like half hour.
What's your reading material situation like?
Well, I have learned to always bring our own train books. So I've been trapped too many times. So then cut back to the park where they're watching the movie, and Donna is live tweeting everything, which is great.
It's the death canoe. That's like she just calls it out.
Just get your foot out of the water. It's Blood Lake. And then Chris is like asking her questions like, I've missed the first 3 Death Canoe films. What exactly is a death canoe? Does it tip over easily? and Donna is like, I live tweeted it this on my feed this morning in preparation. Like, I'm pretty sure this is a work day. And she's just telling her boss, I watched this movie instead. These 3 movies instead.
Movies, right? There's 6 hours, right? At least.
Yeah. And she says, in the 5th one, the canoe's actually the hero. So, and now Chris here, we see he's dressed up as an old man.
Yes.
Because he's facing his fears of being old and getting old. And so, yeah. So then Leslie's there and she sees she's dressed up as Rosie the Riveter, and Anne comes by and she's dressed up as a U.S. Olympic gymnast, I think is what she was going for.
Yeah.
And they're pretty excited. But Leslie gets a call from Ben. And Ben tells her that Jen wants him to come and work for her. There's a guy in Florida who wants to run for governor. And Leslie is having a hard time processing this because they have sharks in Florida, swamps and swamp sharks. And Ben says, you mean alligators? Maybe. And so they're like, she's like, are you going to do this? And like, we just got this lease and we are supposed to be starting our life together. And Ben's like, I don't know. Well, I have to go find out. We'll learn more in a little bit. So tension. Things were coming together for Leslie. And now there is tension with Ben's future. And then more tension as the trick-or-treating continues. And Andy is continuing to do his observation. And so it says 7:34 p.m. Man dressed as a nerd. Female dressed as a crazy witch. And the husband here says neither of us are in costume. Case closed. And then the girls run up to Ron and say, Ron, like, Zoe broke my tiara. We both have the same tiara. Now she has one and I don't. And so Ron solves the problem in a way that makes the most sense, right? But it's the wrong thing to do. He breaks Ivy's tiara as well. And now neither of them have one. Problem solved, screaming and crying. So good job, Ron. Good job. Cut back to the park.
And that King
Or actually,
Solomon
this
was
is
full of
City
crap.
Hall. Yeah, King Solomon. He didn't actually cut the baby in half.
Well,
See, I think that's what Ron's problem
right.
was he says, well, let
You
me
never.
see whose tiara it really is.
Mhm.
Let me cut it in half. And then it's like, no, 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 she should have it. That's how you know who it really belongs to. And you give it to that person.
Rookie mistake. Never cut
Yeah.
the baby in half. Never actually go full half baby.
Yes. That's it. So, and I just realized I said they were at a park because that's when they watched Twilight was at a park, but they're actually watching this at City Hall in a little courtyard, which is even worse. And so the Donna is watching this again, and then she just cries out right in the face, "Sorry about your jaw, son."
It's the
And
hook. The blood hook.
And Leslie is upset, and so she's talking to Anne. Like everything seems to be falling apart. I know exactly how FDR felt after Pearl Harbor. And Anne is like, look, there's a lot of things going on. You don't know everything here that's happening. You guys have survived this long, but let's have fun. And then she's like, you know what would cheer you up? She watched Tom go into the bathroom, and whatever Tom's costume was, like a ghost, barely. I don't know.
I barely saw it. Yeah.
It's like just a white sheet over his shoulder. So I think it's like I think he's going for ghost. But she's like, let's go scare him when he comes out of the bathroom. And Leslie is in agreement. That would cheer me up. And so they wait. And when the door opens, they yell boo to whoever comes out, and it's Jerry, not Tom. And immediately he starts farting a lot, like a lot. Like so much. And Leslie is like, just gross, Jerry, what's wrong with you? And Anne then, because she's a nurse, recognizes like, oh, he may be having a heart attack, because this is something that happens when people have heart attacks.
And just grabbing his arm.
Yeah. And so Leslie's like, all right, Anne tells her to call 911. And Leslie's response is like, there's so much stuff happening right now.
Farts and heart attacks.
Yeah. And then Tom comes out, and Tom's response is like, oh, this is terrible. Did a dinosaur just fart? Did you eat farts for lunch? And they're like, stop talking, moron. And he's like, I wish I could stop smelling. And then finally, Leslie says, he's having a heart attack. And she's like, oh, are you okay? So that's like, oh, is Jerry going to be all right? Well, let's take a pause here, Jeremy.
Okay.
Let's take a pause, because
who knows what's going to happen to Jerry? Oh no.
Yeah, we don't know.
You have to wait until after the town forum to find out,
because we're going to do a town forum. Exactly. And this is some emails that came in previously. We asked about soundtracks in particular.
Oh yeah.
And you were a big advocate for soundtracks. And I was like, I prefer scores. And so we have a email from listener Christy, who in the episode where Leslie gets her perm, her favorite line was, when Anne is away, the mice get perms. And then blaming Anne later. Why did Anne let me do this? But her favorite soundtracks are Forrest Gump and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is a fantastic soundtrack. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy Awesome Mix 1 and 2 are both great, and they are great. And then she starts talking about the soundtracks for Grease, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Nightmare Before Christmas. They get a lot of play in her house. Jeremy, let's analyze this real quick.
Sure.
If it is a musical, does that count in the same way as a soundtrack?
That's like asking, does a musical count as a movie?
No. That's totally different.
I know, but I'm just saying, no. It's a musical. It just needs to stay on the stage. Just keep it there where I don't have to see it, because people don't just spontaneously break out in song anywhere I go, unless it's Brigadoon or whatever that show is. So yeah, soundtracks for musicals, I don't think I can abide.
But you can enjoy it, right?
No,
not at all.
Musicals.
Wow.
I don't like them.
Interesting.
Never have, never will.
See, I was going on a different track altogether, and you really surprised me here.
Okay,
Because like in the other things, like Forrest Gump, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Guardians of the Galaxy, those kinds of soundtracks, they're not necessarily moving the plot forward, right? The closest would be Oh Brother Where Art Thou, but it's not strictly a musical because a lot of the songs are just kind of happening.
sure.
And I mean, people sing them, but it's not like it's not necessary for uh, George Clooney's character to sing Man of Constant Sorrow to understand the character of George Clooney,
Right.
right?
Or what's happening in the movie or what's going to happen. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And then like all of the songs from Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack, they're all like independent. They're just good songs
Sure.
that his mom gave to him. And so while they just, have a synchronicity with the actual story, they're not like carrying the weight of the story.
Mm-mm.
Whereas a soundtrack, like all these songs are where like a musical, all these songs are like telling you more about the characters and the story.
It's like part of the script at that point.
Exactly.
At which point I feel like just tell me just say those words then. Why add the music? That's just, and you're going to say some of these things over and over again. I believe that's called a chorus. So you're repeating it. That's just lazy. You're robbing me of more movie. I don't, pointless.
Yeah.
Come,
You definitely made some points.
come at me, internet. I don't care.
Yeah.
I stand by it.
Christy, you know how to get a hold of Jeremy. So, but then she also has a Pandora channel of nerd movie soundtracks, like from the MCU, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Narnia, the DC movie, Star Wars, Star Trek.
Awesome.
I love those kinds of scores. Last
Fantastic.
night I was reading a Star Trek novel because I have an inner Ben Wyatt in me, and I put on the soundtrack or the score to
Yes.
the Star Trek movie while I was reading the novel. I'm like, this is pretty perfect.
Wait, which Star Trek movie? Like the original?
Well, it was just I should say it was the score for the Next Generation.
Okay.
So just like an episode, I just typed in Star Trek Next Generation. So, yeah. So I heard the intro music twice, which was kind of annoying, but yeah. So that's from Christy. So good choices there. And then a listener named Anissa wrote in, and she totally agrees with Ben that he's 100% right that it is like a mixtape from your favorite director. And so she also loves the feel of superhero movie scores, and editing and writing makes it all more dramatic. The Game of Thrones soundtrack is so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. And also the music for Westworld. Have you listened to the Westworld music?
Yes.
Oh man, it's so great because it's all covers. But like played up like a honky tonk, like in a Western kind of thing. Oh,
Right.
so
Yeah.
good. And then also highlights some of her other favorite soundtracks. Social Network soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Agree.
Oh yeah. Soundtrack score? Because that's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Yeah, I would call that a score.
Score.
Because like when I think of soundtrack, I think of songs with words.
Right. Songs that have already kind of been out have already been made and played like on radio or whatever, or made specifically for the movie.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. Social Network. That's a fantastic score.
Yeah. And then also the Matrix 1 and 2. So Social Network, Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't remember the Matrix 1 and 2 music very well, other than there's a lot of like electronic sound. And
yeah, it's like a lot of techno.
Is that also Trent Reznor, you think?
That I don't think so. I want to say no. Right. I'm going to say no on that, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Well, okay. So, and then her next item is just everything by Trent Reznor. So he's really good at scores. I've never listened to any Nine Inch Nails music, but I really appreciate his score work. So I can agree with this listener. And then Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey. I can't remember the soundtrack to those. Now here's one, Jeremy. Yeah. Goes way back. The Lost Boys.
Oh, wow. I really don't remember.
All right. I don't either. That was in a period of time where I was not allowed to watch anything that may have anything to do with anything scary. So I'm not super familiar, but I do know Kiefer Sutherland is in that movie, and he's intense because he's a vampire.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then the movie Go! Exclamation mark.
Yes.
I haven't seen that. But you say yes, and I say
Yeah, it's
great.
great. Yeah, it's a very
Okay.
intense. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, Matrix. I'm remembering some of the songs from Matrix, like Ministry and Marilyn Manson, and then one of my favorite like drum and bass bands from that era, like Propeller Heads. That's when they like walk into the bank and they start like running upsides the wall, or I guess not the bank, but the building, and to go free Morpheus, and they're like running up the walls and shooting in the columns. Like that's Spy Break. That yeah, great choice, listener, whatever Jason said.
Anissa.
Anissa, yeah, awesome.
Yeah. And then Clueless,
Oh yeah,
the movie Clueless. And then she said Spider-Man with that song from Seal, but I think what is
Batman.
intended is Batman.
Yeah,
Kissed by a Rose on a Grave. Is that what it's called?
I think it's just "Kissed by a Rose" is the name of the
Kissed
song.
by a Rose.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Seal. Yeah, that song was everywhere.
Yeah, it was.
Oh man. Yeah. And then this is how she wraps it up. That's without like Googling for ideas. So I love
Wow.
that. So and then love you guys. Keep up the great show. It's one of my favorites. Anissa, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but thank you for writing. Thank you for enjoying the show. And friends, listener, if you enjoy the show, email us. Let us know. parksandconversation@gmail.com. But you can also tell your friends. Tell people about this great little show that we have put together almost weekly.
Darn near.
Darn near.
And I think and when I say think, I'm pretty sure because we've talked about it. The goal here is to continue not just through Parks and Recreation, but through The Office and The Good Place and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So it's even though you're probably listening to this into season 5, and we're still saying, hey, tell your friends, it's okay. There's going to be more, and they can start over and catch up. And yeah, it's going to be fun. It's a long journey. Come along for the ride. We might even get better at this. Who knows?
Well, no promises. We've gotten this far without getting better. Why change anything now?
That's right. Don't fix what's been broken the whole time.
A broken clock is a good paperweight, is what I always say.
That's right.
So listeners, thank you for your email. Please send us. What would be great is if we could hear. We're watching this Death Canoe, Blood Lake thing. Listener, what are your favorite scary, campy movies? So we could be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. Talk about I Know What You Did Last Summer. What are your favorite scary-ish types of movies? So email us, parksandconversation@gmail.com.
And the correct answer, obviously, is Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. So,
okay. Well, then now I guess, listener, you don't have to email. Jeremy just told you what is right.
Just write.
I have not seen any of those movies.
Write in, and we'll judge you anyway. It's fine.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's come back into season 5, episode 5.
Yeah, I need to know what happened to Jerry.
Well, Jerry lived. If you can call that living.
God, your life is so boring.
So Tom comes into the hospital and he's brought some magazine and so the word jumbles and maybe some Gas X. And he's trying to get the doctor. He's going to try to get the doctor, Dr. Harris, to say that Jerry had a fart attack. But Dr. Harris is not playing along. And he's like, no. He's like, there's got to be some kind of term for this releasing so much gas. He's like, not really. Gastrointestinal distress is common during a cardiac event. So yeah, Dr. Harris doesn't play any games. He's just doing what he's doing. And so, but Jerry is appreciative of everybody coming to visit. We've got Anne and Jerry and Leslie there. And he's very appreciative of everything. And he's like, you guys didn't have to do this. And Dr. Harris' response is, well, they did cause it.
Dr. Harris calling it how it is.
And then Jerry's like, I'm glad this happened. This is a wake-up call. I'm going to make some changes. I want 30 more years with Gail and my girls. And Leslie's like, don't worry, we're going to help you. We're going to make this work out. And then, so she decides to have a huge garage sale fundraiser to help Jerry pay for his hospital bills. And because their healthcare is terrible. And she says she sprained her wrist, and her insurance claimed that having a wrist was a pre-existing condition.
True.
So that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So the first people we see selling something is Andy and April, and Andy is selling some loosely affiliated Pearl Jam memorabilia.
Loosely affiliated.
Because he's got this hat, and he's like, how much should I sell it for? And April's response is, I don't know, 8 cents. And he says, well, it was the first time I wore this, first time I ever heard Vitalogy by Pearl Jam. And then April's like, oh, $900. And he's like, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. He's wearing a Pearl Jam shirt while he's doing it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And Vitalogy is an amazing album, by the way. I love that album. So
excellent.
There you go. Go listen.
Later on,
listen to
it. Donna will make a claim that Eddie Vedder wrote Vitalogy about her.
Yes, that's right.
So, so then Ron is sitting there at a table with a piece of paper, and Ron's like, are you not selling anything? And he's like, no, I'm selling this table. I made it. And he's selling it for $500, was it? The paper went really quick.
I didn't see. It's a nice table. I would buy that for $500.
Yeah, the description is good table.
No, it's about right.
So, so, and then April's like, hey, where's your new lover? Am I going to meet her? And Ron just says, we're in a bit of a rough patch. And she was not pleased with my babysitting performance and left me a very loud message on my cell phone. And he's like, and so Ron has a talking head where he's like, I like Diane, but I'm not sure if I'm ready for a family. If her kids want to come to my place, I'd have to take a whole week off just to undo the alarms and tripwires. And then Chris comes and he sees Anne has a bunch of different boxes with men's names on them. And Chris is like, oh, hey, that's my name. And so then Anne explains all these boxes are stuff from different eras of ex-boyfriends, because she takes on the personalities of her boyfriends, as Leslie points out. And Chris is like, oh, here are those ankle weights I bought you that you like so much. And Anne just looks at the camera like, nah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the exercise phase, the Andy Dwyer grunge phase, the Tom Haverford needless shopping phase, also credit card debt phase. And so
a box of khakis from her Mark Brandenowitz phase.
Well, actually, there is no Mark phase.
There wasn't, because he was that bland.
Yes, he could not imprint himself on anybody. So Leslie is going to do this auction thing to help raise money. And so she starts off and calls everybody's attention and starts by saying, as many of you know, Jerry Gergich, our friend, has suffered a devastating fart attack, and we are here to help. And so the first item up for bid is an inscribed autobiography from Pawnee newscaster Pert Hapley. The book's entitled The Thing About Me is I'm Pert Hapley. And so starting bid at $20, which it's a hardback book. So that $20 is probably less than it's worth without the autograph. So then we cut down to Florida, where Jen and Ben are with Mr. Kurtzwilder, who was a law lawyer. I was going to say a law person.
He was a law man.
He was a lawyer, and he was just working in a small firm. And then one day, bam, just like that, Gator eats penis. And Ben is shocked by this. And he's like, well, it's my first high profile divorce case. But it was a classic Florida divorce. Guy cheats on wife with Dan Marino's masseuse. One day she cuts his junk off and throws it in the Everglades. And Jen is just like, why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Of course. Right. And Jen says, like, look, your path to victory is narrow. And you don't really have a lot of name recognition. But then Ben jumps in, is like, hey, we're not in the business of losing elections. We can get you where you want to go. And you can see Jen looking at him like, all right, this guy's got some juice here. And so, so that's kind of Ben. You see him kind of come alive as he thinks about how to help this guy win, even though based on what you know about Ben, like he probably would not want this guy to win anything. So, so then we cut back to the garage sale, and Morris is talking to Donna, saying you should have put spoiler alert on all of those death canoe tweets. And Donna's like, it's 25 years old, and she's like on her phone the whole time, like, what are you doing right? Like, you're not even looking at me. What are you doing? And she's like, I'm tweeting this dumb conversation. So then we see Tom is talking to some folks who are looking at his coat, and he wants $200 for it. And he's like, look, the guy's like, it's used. He's like, well, I paid $150 and I added the scorpion, this big embroidered scorpion on the back. And so you can't sell clothes at a tag sale for more than they're worth. And Tom's response is like, watch me.
Yeah, from his Drive phase, which is also another excellent soundtrack. If you haven't listened to that,
that is a good soundtrack.
Yeah,
that's a good movie.
That's a very good movie.
Yeah. So then Diane shows up, and she comes to apologize for the way she reacted. And Ron says, apology accepted. And Diane says, do you want to say anything from me? And his response is, you look nice today.
I mean, it's not a lie. I mean, but I don't think that's what she was looking for.
Everything Ron has done so far, technically correct. It's about fairness. It's about equity, and just saying short, truthful statements. But that is not what you do in a relationship. So then Diane is just like, you ruined my kid's Halloween, and you don't even feel bad about that. And Ron doesn't know what to say, and he pauses, and then he's like, okay, but that pause was enough for Diane to say, that's it. You are not ready for this relationship. Goodbye. And April tells Ron, dude, you're totally blowing this.
Helpful.
And Ron's like, I'm not going to apologize. It wasn't even real.
The tiara, not the relationship.
Yeah. The tiara is not even real. Oh, well, relationship over.
Wow. Cold, Ron.
And April, who knows Ron the best of anybody on the show, probably.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you are so sad.
No, I'm not.
And then Ron. Andy gets in on this, and he says, Ron, she's right. I've trained extensively in the art of observation. You are sad, and we know why. You didn't sell your table. That's probably a little too expensive. And April's like, shh, no. And so then Leslie they're at their final auction, which is a autograph from Mayor Gunderson's dog, Rufus. But she gets a phone call. And so Anne takes over the auction while doing that. And it's a call from Ben saying like, hey, Kurtzwilder wants me to run his campaign for Florida. I don't even know when it starts, but it means putting all our plans on hold. And Leslie's like, well, what are you going to do? You got to take it, right? And so they're kind of freaking out. Like, I don't know. We'll have to think about it. And so she's like, I'm going back to DC. I'll call you when I get there. So she comes back to the auction, and Anne's like, we got $55. And so that's enough, I guess. But then Leslie has a really good idea to have one more auction item to help Jerry, whose life is terrible and depressing. And she wants to do something big to help him. And she's going to auction off her friend Anne, a sexy nurse, Anne Perkins.
Without her consent.
Yeah. And just dinner and dancing, nothing sexual, nothing fresh. And so Anne is like, no. And then a guy bids who's an attractive gentleman. And then Anne's like, all right. So
let's see where this goes.
Yeah. So then a bidding war starts happening between two attractive gentlemen. But then a dude named Herman, the guy with the tank top and the tattoos who runs the pawn shop, He's at many a town forum. He starts bidding, and the bidding goes all the way up to $900. And they're like, "What would you do there?" And Herman's response is so great. He says, "My cousin has a mud pit in his yard. She could watch me do belly flops, and then we could maybe get some Thai food and a tank of nitrous and see what happens." And so, uh, which is just all sad. And so then Anne bids $1 million on herself and gets out of there. So, which was wise for Anne. Now, here is probably one of the most important elements of this episode. What comes next is Tom coming up, and he sees a kid who is checking out his clothes, and is a nice cut, like a jacket, and he's like, "Mom, can I have this for homecoming?" And it's like, "You're gonna grow out of it. Forget it." And then Tom says, "What if I rent it to you?" And so they agree on $20 a week, and the lady's like, "That's a great idea. He grows so fast. I never want to buy him anything nice. What's the name of your business?" "Rent a Swag."
Finally, he
Yes.
looks at the camera, has an idea for a business name, and it's already working.
And it's already good.
Yeah.
It's a good idea because Tom is a not large man, and so he's the perfect size for all these tweens to rent clothes for them. So, they raised the auction's over. There's a commercial break. Come back. Leslie goes to see Jerry, and her opening words are, "Jerry, your future has been canceled. We only raised $1,200." And Jerry's like, "That's great. Thank you so much." And Leslie's like, "No, it's not enough. It's not even close to what you need. You had all this planned for your retirement and a beach house, and your future is just a huge pile of crap." And Jerry, in his wisdom from the hospital bed, says, "You can't plan your future. There's no guarantees. So as long as the people I love are a part of my life, I will be just fine." And then he invites her to hang out and watch the stories because it's tonight, Strawberry Jello night, to which Leslie responds, "Your life is so depressing." Back in DC, Jen is meeting with Ben in his office, and is essentially saying, like, "Are you going to do this job?" And and it's like, "I don't know. I got a lot to consider." And she's like, "The other day you told me I'm never happier than when I'm managing a campaign." Ben's response is, "I don't think I said that." She's like, "You didn't have to." She understood, like, this is something you really love doing.
You're saying it with your heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's like, "You're really good at this. There aren't a lot of people who can do this, but you can. So just think about it. Think about your future," which sounds like ominous. When about the way she says it, just think about your future. Like, I'm going to kill you. And then also thinking about future, Ron goes to Diane's house. He brought flowers and chocolates.
Oh,
and
sweet.
And some grout cleaner.
Oh, well, not so sweet.
Because she needed some. And Diane's like, "Listen, Ron, my kids are non-negotiable." And Ron here humbles himself and says, I'm sorry. I've been alone most of my life by choice, and this is all new for me. Yeah, I mean, this is like one of the most like honest and romantic moments in the whole show. Like Ron, like saying, like, "I'm willing to grow for you." That is a beautiful moment. And then he's like, "I want to also, help raise your daughters and help them grow as well. I thought I could teach them to saw." So he brought a saw.
He's like he's laughing at himself when he goes, "I guess now it just seems dangerous." And she just kind of smiles and nods like, "Yeah." But also, I think she'd let him. Like, yeah, it's Ron.
Yeah. Ron knows how to teach people how to saw.
Yeah, learn a thing.
There's no fear here.
And I take back the sweetness of, like, when I say grout, when the grout cleaner, I was thinking about that, like, for Ron, that is really sweet because he noticed something and then he did something about it. So just because it's not chocolate and flowers, your typical romantic thing, for Ron, that's probably more thoughtful than the chocolate and flowers.
Yeah. Well, like when he went to Andy and April's Halloween party and he didn't get them anything for their wedding. And so he's like, "I'm going to fix everything in this house.
Yeah.
That's my wedding present to them. And he did, because he cares about these two.
Right.
So, I mean, it's all on brand for Ron. The off brand for Ron is the chocolate and flowers.
Right.
Like, that's probably the first time he'd ever purchased anything like that. He's like, why would I buy flowers? They're dead already. They already cut him out of the earth or whatever. Why would I do this? It's a waste. But he read somewhere.
Right.
Girls like this.
He's acting like a little bit like a sociopath here, where it's like, I'm just doing the thing that I think people are supposed to do in this situation.
Yeah. I have seen a movie.
human have gift here.
Yeah. It's like, if it's not Bridge over the River Kwai, I don't know how to interact with other people.
There's no chocolates in Vietnam movies.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a great moment. There's a lot of great moments. Like, we got Tom having a future.
Yeah.
We've got Jerry saying, I have my family and I want to live for them. We have Ron saying, I want to grow and become a better version of me. And Diane, will you help me do that? In so many words.
And Andy observing things.
Yeah. And then Leslie is back at the house and telling their agent, I just want to look at it one more time. My boyfriend might not be moving back for a while. And Martha tells her, I can't give you your deposit back. And there's a $300 fine. And I was like, fine, whatever. I just want to be here for a minute. And Martha walks away. And Leslie's looking at the house. And then she turns around and who's there? It's Mr. Ben Wyatt. And he says, I've been thinking about my future. And he gets down on one knee. And Leslie is overwhelmed. It's like, Leslie, nope, and she's like, wait, no, I need to remember everything. And so every time he tries to talk for a little while, she's like, stop, wait. I want to remember every single thing about this moment. And because everything is perfect in her life. And then finally, Ben proposes, opens up this wood box that we have seen before, and asks Leslie to marry him. And she says, yes. And happiness. So wonderful. That wood box is the same wood box where Ben gave her a Nope 2012 pin, was in that box.
Mm-hmm.
Leslie used that same box to give Ben a replica of the Washington Monument. And now Ben is giving this box back to her with an engagement ring in it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
What will be in there next time?
I don't know. Does it come back?
Divorce papers. No, I don't know.
Oh my word. How? What?
I don't know. I'm just kind of, okay, fine. Like the deed to a cemetery plot. I don't know. Like what's in the progression of
let's die together.
Yeah. Well, maybe not at the same time. Okay. Yeah. It's cyanide capsules. Yeah. There you go.
Oh my word.
Man, you made this really dark, man. Dude,
I didn't.
Let's
you did.
die together. Jeez. Just trying to be funny, but
I don't. Well, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. People, Romeo and Juliet. It's a laugh riot.
That was a great soundtrack too.
The Leonardo DiCaprio one.
Yeah. Man, you're really good at soundtracks.
I've never seen that movie. I read the book. So pretty sure you can't do better than the book.
Yeah, the book based on the motion picture Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Oh man,
that was a good. That's a good movie. It really was.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
Ron dressed as a pirate, and Diane and the girls dressed as princesses, and they are trick or treating. And the first house they come to says it's November 8th. And Ron's response is like, well, these girls didn't get a chance to go trick or treating. So somewhere in this house, there is some candy. Why don't you find it? And we'll get right out of your hair. The guy goes in, comes back, and he's got calcium chews and a roll of cookie dough. And they're so happy. And Ron is like tremendous, but then also he gives the man money because Ron does not want a handout from anybody.
Right. Well, what he realizes, like, this is just, I mean, you don't just demand something from somebody's house outside of Halloween.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a great ending. Somewhere in this house, there is some candy. So, yeah, this was
I
a fun
wonder. I wonder
episode.
what would happen if you just decided to trick or treat in like March. You know,
You'd probably get some very confused people. It's like, I have some Easter candy.
hey, so dude, some Easter candy is really good.
Yeah, I agree. Any
Good.
candy with chocolate involved, I'm a fan of. I also I have a hankering from time to time for jelly beans, because Easter is a classic jelly bean candy, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's, if you're not getting jelly beans around Easter time, like, why are you even doing this basket? Just forget about it. Move away.
Do you have like a jelly bean like brand?
Well, I do love the Jelly Belly, and in particular, the pear flavor.
Pear is good. Pear
Oh
is good.
man,
Lately, the last couple of years, the Jolly Rancher jelly beans are amazing. I like because see, let's break this down just a little bit.
I'm with you.
Jelly Belly, great, fantastic jelly beans. What I don't like about them is you have to eat them almost individually. I don't want coffee getting in with my watermelon. You know what I mean? Whereas some of these other ones, you can just grab like, oh, these are the Jolly Rancher jelly beans. You just pop a whole handful in your mouth. Tastes great.
Because it's all fruit.
It's all fruit. So that's all. But Jelly
the
Belly
flavor profile is just fruit.
Exactly. Soury, delicious fruit. Now, there used to be the Jelly Belly store at the mall, and you could pick which jelly beans you wanted. So I'm all for that. Then you can
you can
make your own mix.
Do that at a lot of different.
This takes a long time to sort through all those jelly beans.
Yeah.
So, I got kicked out last time I tried to do that.
I think Fred Meyer has a Jelly Belly like
dispensary
that you can get your own Jelly Bellies at. So just heads up. I want you to know that is an option. If you're the person who likes popcorn, take all of it. Fred Meyer will probably pay you. Thank you. They just keep sending this to us. We never asked for it. I don't think anybody's ever ordered. Can I get a whole sleeve of the popcorn flavored jelly beans? People have been dying. Not for this, just dying. So yeah, it's not good. I don't know why anybody would want that.
Oh man, Terry brought home, that's my wife. She brought home some like Brax is trying to get into the jelly bean like weird flavor, and they did a Mexican like themed one, and so they had ground beef burrito and avocado.
Okay.
And salsa.
All right. How were they?
Oh, disgusting. They're absolutely terrible.
Did you eat them together?
No.
Like as a handful of all the flavors? Like, oh, it does taste like a burrito.
Oh, it's like you put it all together. No, I just ate them one by one. That's a better idea. It would still be disgusting. And it was still
gummy burritos.
Chewy burrito. And it was still a little sweet, which is really weird. It definitely tasted like beef. It was like sweet beef, which I don't even know. That's a good sentence to say.
Sweet beef was my nickname in high school.
Dibs on band name.
Yes. All right, listener.
Sweet beef.
Let's start a Patreon for our first album, Sweet Beef. People mispronounce it like sweat beef.
Sweat beef. That's what you get after you listen to it. The beef sweats. That's the name of all the people who listen to it. Sweet beef and the beef sweats.
Oh man. No, that's gross.
Okay.
Sweet beef. Wow. Jeremy, we have really put in some work today.
I feel like it.
This episode is not short. So we should end this nonsense. But listener, we would love to hear from you. If you're still here, let us know.
Just let us know. Just just email yes.
Yeah, if we get emails from listeners that just say, yeah, still here.
We'll know.
Yeah, but congratulations. Hail Zorp. So,
all right. So next week is Ben's parents, which is
oh my god,
such a funny episode.
Oh man,
total disaster. It's great.
Oh, his dad. This was around the same time as Breaking Bad.
Yes,
and I had never seen this actor before, but like I saw him in Breaking Bad, and like
Jonathan Banks.
Oh man, he's so good.
Yes.
He's so good. Okay, awesome. All right. Well,
All
listen,
right.
we will see you, hear you. You'll hear us. I don't know, next week.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you
Get
later.
ready.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.